everybody, what's up? It's Grace, and today I'm going to be doing an emergency reads book tag. This book tag was inspired by the book Emergency Contact by Mark H.K. Choi, which releases on March 27th. This video is being sponsored by Simon Schuster, so thank you so much to them. So getting on to what this book is about, it's a dual perspective book. We follow Penny Lee. She finds her high school experience very mediocre. Nothing has been epic. Everything's kind of just neutral. Her friends are okay, her boyfriend is okay, and she just hasn't found anything spectacular about her experience there. She's going to school to become a writer, going off to college, a college really far away from her hometown, and she seeks like the whole college experience. And then we also follow a guy, his name is Sam, and he's pretty much just stuck in life. He's stuck literally, figuratively, and financially. He works at a cafe making, mediocre cash, and he also sleeps there on his mattress, and his dream is to become a famous film director. But there's just a bunch of obstacles that are discouraging him from pursuing his dreams, but somehow Penny and Sam awkwardly collide and they meet each other, and somehow they still manage to exchange numbers, and by doing so they text all the time, probably email, and they build a really great friendship. They're able to tell each other all their struggles and internal conflicts and their anxieties without actually having to see each other, and I can totally relate with that because there's been times I've been talking to people and I'm like, wow, this is so fun, like talking to a new guy, and I'm like, wow, yeah, and then they're like, let's go get coffee, and I'm like, okay, so I don't think I'll ever see you again. So I definitely feel like this is gonna be one of the most relatable comedy, like rom-coms with a deeper theme in there. So what is inspiring this, since Penny and Sam are their emergency contact, I'm choosing books that are my emergency reads. So a book that makes me feel nostalgic, makes me feel like a kid again, books that make me happy and make me laugh. So let's go ahead and get started. The books that I'm choosing for these categories are pretty well known, probably the most well-known books out there. They're pretty much the home of my reading. So for the first category, it's what book makes you feel like a kid again, and for me that is The Bad Beginning by Lemony Snicket. The whole series, but specifically this book, because this book is what made me realize like not everything has a happy ending, and as a kid in second grade I was like, wow, what a concept. And not only did I read the full series, but my second and third grade teacher, I had the same teacher for second and third grade, Miss Adams, she read them aloud. I don't think she read the last book because I don't think it was out in time, but she read as like pretty much, I think, to like the 12th book to us, and it was cool having her read it to me, and then also like buying them at the bookstore, and I kind of raced with her. I always wanted to be done with the book before she got done with it during class. I used to be able to recite the first chapter just by knowledge and not reading because I had read this book so many times, and I remember my mom was always like, why do you want to read this series? It's so depressing. There's no like good happy ending or middle or beginning in this book. And I was like, I don't know, there's just something so appealing, and especially to a kid who is just used to everything that's like flowers and rainbows and happiness. This was just such an amazing discovery for me as a kid, and I reread I think till the 5th book last year because the show had come out, and I just wanted to kind of like refresh my memory on it. And this series is so good. The way Lemony Snicket writes is beautiful, and this will always make me feel like a kid again and make me feel the epic nostalgia. The next one is what book brings you comfort, and for me that is The Mortal Instruments, City of Bone, all of them, because this series was, I kind of stopped reading throughout high school, and I think like junior or sophomore year I had picked this up right after the movie had come out, because I had seen the movie and I was like, this is the most confusing movie ever, and my mom was like, it's a book, you should read it. So I got the first 3 books on vacation. We were only on vacation for a week, and I finished all 3, and I just remember having just such an exciting feeling again, like this rekindlement of my love for reading. And then I got home, I bought the entire series, and I sped through that, and then I had to wait like a year and a half for the last book. I reread this series more than any series I've ever read. I just think that it's so spectacular and magical and everything that I needed at that time, and every time I reread it, even if I just want to pick it up and just reread a scene, I'm just transported back to where I was when I first read it and how excited I was, or how sad I was due to what was happening, but just made me feel such vivid things, and I am so attached to these characters, good or bad. I just have such a love for this series, more than I've ever had for any book series before. So I seek this series out for any form of comfort. Next one is What Book Do You Seek Out to Have a Laugh? And for me that is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. Anything by her pretty much, or anything that I have read at least. I think there's a couple books that I haven't read. Her books are so funny, specifically this one, and specifically the scene where she's been eating like, I think it's protein bars in her college dorm room for a couple days or a week, I'm not sure. And the reason why she's doing this is she doesn't want to find the cafeteria. It's not like, you know, there's a lot of people, she's scared to talk to people. I mean, she just doesn't, she feels kind of like neutral about it. Like, she doesn't hate people, but she doesn't like seek them out to talk. But the whole reason she does not want to go to the cafeteria is because she doesn't want to find the cafeteria. She doesn't want to have to ask people, hey, where's the cafeteria? So she settles for eating protein bars in her room for days. And I think that that is just the most funny, relatable thing. I think I've related with Kath more than any other character. Not entirely, but with little aspects about her personality. And then also her roommate, who ends up being a great friend for her. She is to a T my best friend Hallie, and I think that it's just hilarious. Like, her characters are just so hilarious because they're so real. You see people in your life in her books, and I think that's what sets herself apart from a lot of contemporary novels. It's just so real and funny, and I love her with all my heart. And I wanted to come up with my own sort of category, and that is what book do I seek out for girl power? And for me, that is The Winner's Curse by Marie Witkowski. This book was a hidden gem for me. I didn't think that I was gonna really love it as much as I did. I think I got it from the book depository. I had it on my shelf for a while, and then I was like, just randomly picked it up, and it was so good. We follow Kestrel. She's the general's daughter, and she has two choices: to either join the military or to marry, and she doesn't find either of those options appealing, so she just wants to do her own thing. She doesn't necessarily know what that is. One day she is walking through the town and she sees a slave auction, because this world is quite different. It's like future, but as if society had regressed sort of thing. Dystopian, but not. It's kind of confusing. It's really unique from anything that I've read. So she's walking in town one day and there's a slave auction, and she sees this slave, his name is Aaron, and she just sees herself in him, and so she buys him, and from that it's just so good. And this book showed me that you don't have to be physically badass to be a badass woman. You can have the intellect of, and the drive and the motivation, and just how Kestrel is. She was always one step ahead of everyone in this novel. And I think that when I read this, because I read the whole series, it's one of my favorite, it just made me feel so empowered when I read it. And definitely I feel like it expanded my brain to think of like life as a chess game or something. And she was just so interesting, and I love her so much. She's definitely one of my favorite female characters that I've ever read in a novel. So I definitely recommend this if you're seeking some girl empowerment. So those are my emergency reads inspired by the book Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi, which releases on March 27th. If you have any of your emergency reads, your comfort reads, your reads that you seek for laughter, I would love to know, because I find it really hard to find books that are just funny. Maybe because I read kind of like not depressing, but like more epic fantasy or sad books. I can only really think of a handful of books that have made me really like bust up laughing. I think I need more recommendations for just like all around funny books. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!